Birdie, birdie in the sky. Drop. No, I won't go there. The sky. The sky in your paintings is a great tool because you can use it for so many different things. And we're going to talk about expressive skies today. And this artist is going to show you how to create really beautiful expressive skies. And you don't want to miss this. And so please hang in there for this. Bhavani, Krishnan, come on board. Welcome.
Hi, Eric.
And tell me about skies. You have become a passionate sky painter. Why is it that skies can make all the difference in a painting?
I think skies just give you so much flexibility to be expressive. You have so much opportunity to create movement, be bold, be painterly. So that's why I think it's a great place where you can try to be more expressive.
Okay, well, I think you have something you're going to demonstrate from the very beginning about brushwork before you even switch your camera over. What is that all about?
I'm going to show you how I use the brush, how I hold the brush. And it's not the usual like a pen.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So here I have my brush with me. So instead of holding it like this, which kind of restricts you to wrist movements, if you hold it this way, then you can actually use your whole arm. You see how easy it is for me to move my whole arm when I hold it this way. So just kind of place the brush in your palm and use between your mainly maybe your first two fingers and your thumb, and hold it sort of midway. And that really helps you be expressive because you can really easily move your whole arm. Whereas if I use the pen hold, it's harder to use the whole arm, and you're mostly restricted to like wrist movements.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think that's terrific. Okay, well, we're going to officially get this show started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Our guest today is Bhavani Krishnan, and we are going to do expressive skies today. Bhavani, if you've got your camera ready, let's do this. Wow.
Yes, I am ready.
All right. So what have you done here? It looks like you're painting, is that canvas or a panel?
This is the canvas panel. Yes.
Okay. And what have you done here? It looks like you've done an underpainting.
Yeah, I just sort of toned the canvas with quinacridone rose, and I have just put in my drawing to save a little bit of time. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with my darks.
Okay. Now, why do you tone a canvas like that? There may be people who want to understand that.
Yeah, so when you tone the canvas with something like kind of a little bit of a warm tone, it really helps if there are pieces of the canvas that show through when you are when the painting is finished. It kind of adds a warm undertone to the whole thing that really helps to unify the painting in many ways. So that's why I like to use a warm color, and quinacridone rose just works well when you have greens, or it's also a nice color that peeks through in the sky.
Now, are you using oil paints or acrylics?
Yeah, these are oils.
Okay. And are you thinning your oils with anything at this point?
At this point, yes, I'm using Gamsol.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put in my shadow shapes. So the second most important thing for expressive painting is to have a value plan. So you can see in my reference, I have put up the value plan to the right. So what a value plan does is it simplifies your reference into 3 or 4 values. And that is kind of like how to do that is a wholly different lesson. But one of the most important things that you do when you are doing the value plan is you think about what is this painting going to be about. And that is sort of really important to figure out where your main shapes are going to be and where the different values are going to be. So when you have a sort of idea about that, you can really be expressive with your mark making, because you're not like second guessing every mark you're making. So one of the keys to expressive painting is to be bold and confident. So whatever energy that you put into your painting, that's going to show through. If you're going to be like really timid and make small marks, that's the energy that's going to show through in the finished painting. But if you want to be like bold and expressive, you have to put in that bold and expressive energy. So I just sort of toned in my darks, and I'm going to go into the sky now. And I'm going to start with the shadow of the cloud. And I'm not going to put marks that are like small and timid. First of all, I'm using a large brush. This is a size 8. This is a size 10. And I'm using a lot of paint. I don't like use skimpy paint. I usually put out a lot of paint and paint with paint like a millionaire, basically.
Paint like a millionaire.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
It means to not skimp out on your paint and to really not think about the cost of the paint when you're doing your painting. You know, you have to paint like you know, just use a lot of paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I put down marks, I'm not trying to be very rigid or geometric. I'm just trying to like, this is the block in. So I'm just going to try and be really like fluid and loose. I'm not going to worry about painting to the edges of the shapes that I have, because that will like really end up with a painting that's super rigid.
Okay.
Instead, I'm just going to like be more free and try to find the drawing again as I'm painting. So that's one of the things that happens is people just get caught up in their drawing a lot. Once you've done this like sort of underpainting or a drawing, people think that you can never change it again. But that's not true. You can always find the drawing again.
So it looks like you're bluing the gray of your clouds as it goes backwards in distance.
Yes. So these are the cloud shadows. So the cloud shadows will get cooler as they recede into the distance.
Okay.
Okay, so these are my cloud shadows. So now I'm going to go back into my landmass, and I'm going to put in the sunlit parts of the greens. So I've already pre-mixed a few colors just to save me some time in this demonstration. So I'm not going to, like, since this painting is about the sky, so the areas where, which are not the focus of this painting, they have to be painted like more, you can paint them more loose, more expressive. So I'm just like, the whole mass of trees can be painted in a couple of strokes, you know. You don't have to think about individual trees at this point. Yeah, the whole thing is just, especially with the blocking, you can have a lot of freedom. Because one of the things with is that people don't realize how forgiving oil paint is. If something is not working, you can just, you know, scrape it away and try it again. So that is something that is really like I think a good thing about oil paint is how forgiving it is. You can see how I'm not like trying to stick within my lines. Just I'm gonna find the shoreline again. So that's why I'm just kind of allowing the things to flow into each other.
Okay. If you guys have questions, make sure you put them in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. I see somebody watching from Mumbai.
Oh, nice.
You're from a couple hours south of Mumbai.
Yes, I'm from Pune.
We're here every weekday, folks, and you can learn a lot. You can learn how to paint on this program. We've been here since COVID began, and we will continue 5 days a week, weekdays at 12 noon. Hope you'll join us. Okay, you're really making that dark in there. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so this is my foreground shadow. So I want that to be fairly dark because usually, you'll have your darkest dark closer to the foreground. And so I have this ground plane, which is the shoreline. And I have a few bushes. So I've reversed this foreground shape that is in the reference just because I wanted the painting to flow this way, like an S. So I kind of rearranged a few things. So this is like the bushes that you see on the right side in the reference.
All right. So you changed the shape of that foreground. You made it go the opposite direction.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Tell us why you did that.
Yes, I did that because I'm trying to create an S shape in my painting. So I wanted it to flow. I feel like the clouds are flowing this way. So I wanted to continue that S by making the river flow this way. So if the curve of my shoreline goes this way, it helps to reinforce that S.
Do we have any way, Bhavani, do we have any way we can zoom in on your sketch just briefly so people can see it close up? They're asking in the comments.
Oh, I think I sent it to Amadine, so if she can pull it up.
Well, it's showing. It's showing. It's just I don't know if we have. Maybe
she has the picture. Yeah, I sent it to her.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, Amadine,
I
pull
don't
it
have
up.
a way to zoom in right now. Yeah.
You don't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we can find it.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the lit side of the clouds now. So this is going to be my the lightest light, and I'm just going to put that in there. The whole cloud is not going to be the lightest light. It's just certain areas of the cloud will be lighter.
Okay, we put it on the screen briefly so everybody can see it.
Okay, yeah. So this is like you can see I have just simplified the scene into like 3 values. So I have a value for the shadows, I have a value for the cloud shadows, and then there is the lit side of the clouds. So yeah, I like to simplify my scene into 3 or no more than 3 or 4 values at this initial stage, because that's really going to, like I said, help me be more expressive, because I kind of know, like I know as I'm going in what is going to be like the value of these particular areas that I'm laying in. So usually I feel that tentativeness really can show up in your painting. So if you don't know what's where you're going to put what value, it's really like shows up and makes it sort of, you lose the boldness, basically what I'm trying to say. Like if you want to be bold, you have to attack it with that sort of boldness.
What colors did you use to mix the lightest light of the clouds? Is one of the questions.
The lightest light was white and this orange. So this orange is mixed up from my CAD. It's actually cadmium-free red light and my CAD yellow medium.
Okay.
And
you're worrying about getting some of that gray into the clouds. I mean, into your light.
No, I'm not worried about that because the way I paint is like when I put in I left enough room for my lightest light, so I'm not worried about that. But eventually, I'm gonna like manipulate all of this again, so it's not like if some gray does get into it, and if I feel the value is wrong, I can always scrape it off and redo it. I'm going to show you what that means in just as soon as I get all of my paints covered, or sorry, all of the cap panel covered. I'm going to show you how you can really push and pull with all of this paint that's on the canvas to create something really more dynamic and more expressive. So that's
right. Cool. So it's looking pretty dynamic so far.
Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah. At this point, I'm just trying to get all of my canvas covered. And yeah, so I'm going to go into my blue of the sky. So usually the blue of the sky is almost the same value as the cloud shadows. It just, the darkest darks are usually a little darker than the blue, but for the most part, they can be almost the same value. Yeah, but the saturation obviously is different. So the blue of the sky is more saturated, and cloud shadows are usually way more gray.
So do you use a darker blue at the top of your sky?
Yes. The gradation of the sky is usually a darker blue that gets sort of cooler or more, like you could say, more of a greenish blue and lighter as you go down towards the horizon.
Okay.
So as I'm going to put in my blue of the sky, I want to also think about my cloud shape. So I'm not just going to paint like to the edges of the shape. So I'm going to think about where I want these, like sort of think about the negative shape. So for example, this one over here, I kind of want to make sure I get a little bit of that drawing in there as I'm doing, putting in this thing. So it's like you draw as you're painting, but at the same time, you're just using this as an opportunity to cut in and also to vary the pressure of your touch. So you can see that, especially when I paint the sky, I always try to use a lighter touch of my brush because clouds usually have really soft edges. Clouds are like made up of vapor. They're sort of like constantly transient. They're changing, moving. So all of these things make them have really soft edges. So if you want your clouds to look expressive, you cannot just lay down a stroke and leave it alone, because when you do that, what that means is you will end up with a lot of hard edges. So you have to manipulate the edges of your clouds to make sure that they are soft. So what I'm doing right now is I'm really using a light touch. So if I was to make let me contrast it. If I make a stroke that's more bold, or not bold, but more with a harder touch, it would be something like this, right? So you can see how it's very specific and it creates like hard edges. But you can see especially when I'm leaving the canvas, I try to really, really be more soft.
So
I
there's
think
a question. Did you use acrylic for the underpainting or did you just let it dry? What's the story?
so the underpainting is in oil, and it is dry, but only because I wanted to save some time in the demo.
Yep.
So that's why it's dry, but usually the way I paint, it would be wet.
Yeah. And then that lets it blend in a little bit more too.
Yeah, but it's thinned down with Gamsol, so it's not very, super. It sort of dries up by the time you get to the painting and stuff. It kind of starts drying out a little bit. So that is my sky. I'm just going to go ahead, block in my river, and then I will get into refining it a little bit more.
If you guys have questions, make sure to put them in the comments and tell us where you're watching from today. What is the size of your canvas?
This is 8 by 10 inches.
Okay, small.
Yeah, it is small. Because I'm hoping to sort of finish it in the 45 minutes that we have. So
yeah,
I didn't want to go too big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to show how it's like how flexible oil paint is and how you can really like manipulate it and different ways of applying paint to the surface and different ways of making marks.
Are you using any medium of any kind?
No, I'm only using Gamsol to thin my paint a little bit, but not too much also because I'm just using thick paint.
What are the colors on your palette? Looks like ultramarine, cobalt.
Ultramarine, phthalo blue.
Okay.
Quinacridone rose, cadmium-free red light, transparent oxide red, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, and cad lemon, and titanium white.
Okay. Got to be careful with that phthalo. It's powerful.
It is, but also if you know how to use it, I think it can be really.
Yeah.
Like
the color of the undertone was quinacridone pink, right? Rose.
Yeah, rose. Yeah.
Okay. Are we having fun yet? I am. I could do this all day, every day. I would not get anything else done, but I don't anyway. If you were using acrylic paints, would you tone your surface? I think the answer is yeah.
Yes. So here's where I'm going to do something really fun, where I'm going to come in with my knife and I'm going to, so this is sort of in, to some extent, it's my block-in completed. So you can see how quickly, because I had a value plan, I was able to block this in. And because I pre-mixed a few colors, it was quicker, but you can see how you can put in a lot of energy into the block-in. And you don't have to worry because you have opportunities to fix things that are wrong at a next stage. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to soften a few edges with my knife.
Your palette knife, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is where, people are too fearful. They're afraid they'll lose the drawing. They're afraid they'll lose this beautiful mark that they've made. And I think it's a good idea not to get attached to anything at this stage of your painting. You
could slice pizza with that knife. That's a big. You could serve pie. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. It is like that, right? It is like the pie serving knife. So when I paint, I try to attack the block-in with just like a full burst of energy. And then after the block-in is completed, I would usually take a minute to look at it with a logical eye. So that is where, you kind of paint with a lot of emotion, and then you take you have turns, like you paint with emotion, then you bring your logical brain back, then you kind of reattack it with emotion, then you kind of bring your logical brain back again. So that way you're not second guessing everything you're doing as you're laying it on the canvas, but rather allowing yourself to go with the flow and then giving yourself a moment to think about it as well. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Okay. So
the question is, do you feel the circular motion with the knife?
Circular motion.
Do you use
Sorry?
You're not using a circular motion?
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
just going like,
Okay.
or like that.
You always make sound effects when you do that?
No, I don't.
I like the pink showing through.
Yeah, just special for this show. So I'm gonna go back.
We need some sound effects.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any.
Oh, I like that, like calming music.
it's the angels.
So I'm gonna go back into it. So at this stage, you can look at your canvas and you can usually after the block-in, it's a good idea to take a 2-minute break and step away from your canvas just to see what is it looking like, and to kind of evaluate it. And so when you come back, if there's something that the value is completely off, it's going to stand out for you. You're going to be able to spot it immediately if you take that little break. So right now, since we're not going to take a break, I'm just going to go ahead into the next stage, which is this is the stage where you start refining things and adding a little bit of detail. So I'm going to go in and I'm changing some of the things in the reference a little more. So I'm putting in, so in this painting, my focal area is going to be this big cloud over here. And a secondary focal area means as I come down this way, I want people to rest their eye over here. So instead of putting this small lamp piece that is back there in sunlight, if I put it in shadow, it's going to create a little bit of contrast and help me create that secondary focal area.
Right,
That's
because
why
you got a strong dark, a lot of contrast.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to reinforce some of the darks, the shadows of the land.
Our guest is Bhavani Krishnan, who's teaching us on how to do expressive clouds. If you're just tuning in, we're here every weekday at 12 noon and have been since COVID began, which means we've been doing this a while. Mere mortals would have given up 2 years ago. We just keep at it. All right, put a little red in that.
Where do you want some red?
Oh, it was orange. Okay. You put a little orange in it. I see.
Oh, yeah. So the sunlight part of the clouds will get warmer as you go into the horizon, like towards the horizon. but they'll get warmer and they'll also get a little grayer. So that's the key part, because sometimes it's confusing that the cloud whites get warmer as you go into the distance, but it's not just warmer, it's also a little grayer. So the key thing is, if you want atmosphere in your painting, as you go into the distance, the contrast has to go down. So that is what I'm doing, is I'm trying to make the whites of the clouds a little warmer, grayer, and a little darker than the lightest light and the light that we had up here, so that they don't contrast so much with the cloud shadows back here.
So how do you reduce that contrast?
So you can the way you reduce it is by lightening your cloud shadows and by darkening your cloud light. So if you want to reduce the contrast,
Darkening your cloud light. Okay.
Between the light and the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would have your darkest cloud shadows and your lightest light on this cloud, which is closer up to us. So you can see how I am putting down paint. I'm going to come back, I'm cutting into it to create my shapes. So it's not like I put it down and that's the final mark. I can always go back into it.
We are mesmerized.
Oh, thanks.
So you're softening edges back there as well.
I did, and I also reshaped it because I wasn't super happy with its shape, and I can probably, I will go back into it, and it's too, it doesn't have, this line is too boring. I just want to create a little bit of variation in there by adding some, maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, maybe something like that. So we can see that the light is coming in from the right because of the way the shadows are in this in the tree mass over here, as well as how this bank here is kind of sunlit, so it's coming in from the right. So always want to remember that. You always want to remember the direction of your light source when you're painting, because you have to make sure you don't put something that doesn't make sense. So this landmass over here was, I felt, too light. So I'm just darkening it a little bit. And I'm going to put in a little bit of line over here as well. All right. And I also want to potentially, this is too dark still, so I'm going to go in and light it. Okay. And I want to reinforce. How are we doing on time? Because I want to make sure I get to my focal area.
Oh, you've got probably 15 minutes.
Okay, good.
Maybe 20.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and attack the focal area now. And then we will come back to more of the water and things like that. But while I have this color with me, I just want to put in a few cloud shadows in there, and then I will readjust them later on. So I also have mirror behind me in my studio, and that really helps me to see spot shapes that are not working, or just anything that is off. Like, for example, if there's a value that's completely off, that's really going to help me see that.
Andreas is asking, are you squinting to see the values as you go?
No, I'm not squinting because, no, actually that's true. I do squint when I feel, yeah, it's the same thing. If you want to, you can squint at your painting, and it's kind of equivalent to looking at the mirror, because it gives you sort of a reduced sort of perspective. And if something is sticking out, it's going to show up. But I'm not squinting as I'm painting. If I was painting from life, I would be squinting at my source, at my reference. But in case of photos, I don't tend to really squint at the reference.
So it looks like you're restating your darks.
Yes, I am, because some of it was lost. And I also want to refine those shapes as I'm doing this. Like redefine the shapes. I'm also going to put in a couple of like half tones in there, which would work as a transition between my the light and the shadows. This may be too dark, but we'll see. Yeah, this is a little bit on the darker side.
It's called a test shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I always do that. I will test it before I commit to it.
Today's a big day. We have Harley Brown. We're going to do a special broadcast with him later on today. We'll put a link in there. Harley Brown, we've got him out of retirement for a special broadcast. And he's been painting for 70 years. It's going to be pretty cool. Make sure you sign up for it. streamlineartevents.com/Brown.
Now I'm going to go back into my cloud light, and I'm going to find those shapes again. So I have a little bit of light back here that I want to put in.
So your reference photo, the whites look really like pure white. Tell everybody why you don't do it that way.
So in this picture, especially, the lights are really blown out.
Yeah, that's what happens with cameras.
Right. Yeah. So I was there. I kind of know that it was not like everything. So everything, you cannot paint everything the same white, because then there would be no, like, you would have no idea what the painting is about, because if all of your lights are as light as that one. So you need to think about what this painting is going to be about, and that's going to dictate some of the things that you change from your reference. And the second thing is you need to be aware of how light works as well. So usually your whitest sort of cloud will be closest in the cloud that's closest to you. So that is like all these clouds over here. And as you go away into the distance, you're going towards the horizon. So you will have, like I said, those warmer and grayer clouds. So you cannot paint them. If you paint them as light as this one, it would look like you would not have that sense of distance or perspective.
It would look cool too. I mean, cool versus warm, not cool like
Right.
cool.
Yeah, that is, yeah. And the other thing that I would like to mention is how important it is to keep your brush clean when you're doing these, especially these, the lightest light mark, because your brush picks up something and then, you know, it's just really easy to lose the value, so especially when you're working with the lightest light. It's important to make sure that so I'm not liking the shapes that are here, so I'm just kind of hitting it again, and I'm gonna cut back into them with the blues to see what I can do to make that work. And you can also see, like, I put down this mark and you can see how there is this contrast between this one and this one. So I need to either put in a transition value or find a way to soften that edge if I want it to not stick out.
Now, you can soften it with your brush or your knife, right? Yep, you just did.
Yeah.
Okay. Neil Patrick McMillan says, I love how she shakes her brush in the air. Do you even realize you do it?
You know, I have realized it because I do videos a lot. So I have realized that I practice the mark in the air before I put it down. It's not very conscious, but I notice that I do it. Yeah. Yeah, and I also, there's this shake that happens afterwards.
Now that we're noticing it, it's making me nervous.
Oh no, why?
I didn't even notice till he pointed it out. Isn't that funny?
Oh. Okay, I'll try not to do too much of it.
No, do as much as you want. This is your time. You guys need to follow Bhavani on her Instagram. And that's where we discovered you, by the way.
Oh. Okay.
If you guys are enjoying this, make sure to give a heart or a thumbs up and make sure to leave a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. It's looking pretty good, pretty energetic, very expressive.
Oh, good. Thanks. So I don't want these clouds back here to take up too much attention. So I'm gonna try to. There's like a lot of brush marks there, so I'm softening a few of those, and just at the same time softening some of these edges. So you always have to think about what is the painting about, right? That has to be the guiding force. You have to ask that question several times as you're painting to make sure that you're not like spending a lot of time and energy in an area which is not important to the painting, that could like be a disservice.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to like soften this whole area so that it's there, but it falls back and allows this area over here to really grab more attention. So it's really as you saw, it was really a back and forth, stating the lights, stating the darks. But because I have, I'm not like shooting in the dark. That's when you end up with mud, because you can do this back and forth, but if you don't know kind of where you're going, you could end up with like a muddy painting, or you could end up with marks that look too tentative. So I'm approaching, each time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be it. And I'm approaching it with that attitude. So that's why there is that boldness that comes through, even though I'm like reworking it a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I want to say is, like, when beginners are painting, oftentimes you don't feel very bold, do you? Like you're not sure, like when you're just starting out, you're not sure whether you have the right value. You're not sure if what you're doing is any good. You don't know if, like, is this supposed to be a mid value or a light value? I'm not sure. So what I say is, having a value plan is first of all going to help you know that, kind of have an idea. But even after that, there's a good chance that you're not going to be sure. So what I say is, just fake it till you make it. So you just have to pretend like you know what the value is, and you have to attack it with that energy. Like, I know this, I got this. And then after you paint with that attitude for a little while, you take a break, and that's when you can give yourself the permission to second guess yourself and think about what's working and what's not. And you can always also compare your painting to your value plan to make sure that it's still belonging to the same value plan, and that you haven't like deviated from it too much. So this one is too kind of quite contrasty. So I'm just trying to soften this between the shadow and the lights over here.
We're gonna give you about 6 more minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Are there more questions? I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, let's find out. Compare your painting to your value plan. Have you? Oh, that's what you said. Okay, you did that. Do you start all your paintings with pink underpaintings, or do you use other colors too?
I use other colors too. Sometimes I use yellow ochres. Usually it's either pink or yellow ochre. Sometimes I just paint on the...
I love to use Indian yellow for underpaintings.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it really makes them vibrate.
But that's a strong color to paint on, isn't it? Like,
yeah. So is pink.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I guess it depends on how.
Well, I thin it out and wipe it down. I don't make it full strength, but
yeah, the same thing. Same thing with the pink. Like, I don't paint it like.
Problem with that color is it takes forever to dry.
Oh, I see.
When do you know, says Carl, when it's time to stop painting?
It's usually when the whole piece has like a energy that I like. That's when I would typically stop it. It's kind of something that you cultivate as you grow as an artist, because I didn't know that before. Like, there was a long time where I didn't know when to stop. I didn't know how far to keep going. But you go go ahead, ruin painting. And that's how you slowly learn.
Kevin is asking, do you set down your cloud shape at the very start when you're doing a plein air painting?
Yes, I would, because if you don't do that, you're going to be chasing them forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that you all of a sudden a new cloud shape comes in and you like it better and you change it?
Yes, and then you end up many times with paintings that don't work out. We do that. So yes to all of it. Like plein air, that's the beauty of plein air, right? You win some and you lose some, and sometimes you will chase it and it will get better. Not very often. So it's a good idea to, but what I usually find that if you sort of have a plan, it works out so much better.
Okay, 2-minute warning.
Okay.
All right. Guys, don't go away. I'm going to tell you about a couple things.
So I have this light. I decided to put in this light bit, the bit of shoreline catching light, because it just helps reinforce that S in the that I was talking about in the beginning.
So it's like a beach.
Yeah.
You guys digging this? Make sure you give her applause. Thumbs up, hearts. We like it all. We have to encourage our guests. Susan says, so inspiring. Thank you so much for the demo.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Neil says, you're doing spectacular.
Well,
Lots of applause.
Oh, thank
They
you.
like it. They like you. They really, really like you.
Yay.
If you guys are new to us, we're here every weekday at 12 noon and have been since COVID. If you watch 5 programs, you'll get the confidence that you too can become a painter if you're new to this. All right. So what's going through your mind in the final touches?
Yeah, I'm just looking at all the shapes, making sure they're working. Just seeing if there's any areas that are sticking out because I haven't either I've ignored it or I've put in some not enough information, things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really digging those kind of neutral blues you're putting as cloud shadows way back there.
Oh yeah, thanks.
And it's interesting, you can really see the contrast between the warm shadow up front and the cool shadows.
Yeah. And because those clouds are really, really far, so it helps to contrast them.
Awesome. And the knife comes out.
Yeah, I really like to do both of them. I will always go back and forth between the knife and yeah, then it was catching a lot of attention, so I was just trying to soften this edge while still keep it interesting.
How do you sign your name? Do you use paint or do you scratch it in?
I use paint.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm never happy with the best scratcher. Yeah.
Well, I think we need to get the hook out now.
Okay.
You've done a terrific job. Thank you
Okay.
so much. This has been very inspiring, says 𝗕𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Oh, thank you so much. It's
Oh no, I can't unsee it. I don't know if I should tell you. Somebody said your cloud shape looks like a rabbit. It's got an ear, it's got a foot, it's got a face,
oh,
and
really?
now I
Oh,
can't
no.
unsee it. It's
Where?
kind of wonderful.
Do you see it
Yeah, I see it, but there's your foot.
here?
Yeah, that's the foot. That's
Uh,
the ear going. That's the nose and the ear going up there.
This is the ear. Oh, I see it now. Let's break that
Yeah.
up.
Well, it's sometimes those are fun things to have, and sometimes like if you don't do something about them, you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah. But sometimes you can fix it. Yeah.
Hey, well that's all it took. That broke it up. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
put your palette knife now down and come on back on
Okay.
camera.
Sounds good. It looks more like a rabbit now, I think. Probably.
Well, we have to watch those things. I have paintings that are hanging in my house that I'm like, I just stare at them and think I should repaint them because I'll see some object in them that I've never seen.
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
Bhavani, you've done a terrific job. Congrats. You did a really great painting in a very short period of time. We learned a lot. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope this really helps some of the viewers get some confidence and to really approach the painting with a little bit more of bold and confident marks.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we've put all your contact information into the chat so people can find it there and contact you, and we'll have you on again in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. We loved having you. Thanks again. We learned a lot. Okay, our guest today, Bhavani Krishnan, and we're grateful that she would come on. I want to tell you a couple of things. First off, today we have a very special broadcast with Harley Brown. Harley's been painting for 70 years, and he's developed, I was talking to him the other day, he's developed 7 essential truths about painting, profound insights that shape art mastery. And so that's today at 2 p.m. Eastern, just a couple hours from now. Actually, just an hour from now. And if you want to sign up, just go to streamlineartevents.com/Brown. It's free. Okay. We're going to get a lot out of it. It's going to be terrific. Also want to tell you that I've got an artist retreat coming up in the fall, and it was sold out. But the facility called us and they said, hey, we got some more rooms because something else canceled. And so we were able to get a few more rooms. We've got a few seats left. That is a week of painting. We have a lot of fun. We sit up at night and paint portraits. We paint all day. We party, not too hard. We sing, we dance. We just have a good time. And all levels of artists attend. All levels are equal at this event. It's Fall Color Week this year in Carmel and Monterey. And if you want to join us, go to fallcolorweek.com/ASL for Art School Live. Okay. And last but not least, Pastel Live is coming up. It's just around the corner and it's heating up. We're getting a lot of people signing up. Pastel Live is our online virtual conference for pastel with some of the leading pastel artists in the world. And we have an Essential Techniques Day the day before. So that's the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th of September. And it's immersion. So it's a great way. If you feel like, I've been working at my craft for a long time. I'm just not getting anywhere. We find that immersion really works. Take 3 or 4 days aside. If you can't take the days, you can watch the replays. Right. So that's pastellive.com. And I'm Eric Rhodes. Make sure you subscribe to this on YouTube. It helps you, helps us. You get a little, if you press that little bell, that notification button, then you will get notified when we go live. So go to YouTube, Art School Live. And of course, give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, X, you name it. And we will see you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Is tomorrow Friday? Tomorrow is Feedback Friday. So on Fridays, I do critiques of paintings. And so that's Feedback Friday. Mondays are Art Marketing Mondays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have guest artists like Bhavani, who did a rock star job today. Thank you again, Bhavani. Bye-bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.